Hey, what's up? It's Isaac. Intro to the intro. You know what that means. We're uploading an old archive of low T Isaac videos from 2016. This is going to be about a video I made about Kanye West and his supposed rants and his talk about being an alien and MK Ultra and all kinds of crazy stuff that was happening back then. And the reason I'm uploading it is because I need you to watch this as a companion to a video analysis I am working on or have completed by the time you're watching this, about his new video with Travis Scott called Father, which is all about crazy blasphemous church alien gods and crazy stuff. And you'll see that this is kind of a continuation of what we were talking about 10 years ago. He's still doing it. So check it out, Low T Isaac for 2016, and stay subscribed to the YouTube channel. Be sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the all notifications button, and if you got high points, I'll take them. All right, thanks for watching. Stay positive.
Hey everybody, this is Isaac from IlluminatiWatcher.com. Most of you that are familiar with my work know that I focus in on entertainment and how we see occult and Illuminati symbolism within it. There is a certain topic that I cover more intensely than others, and that is the world of hip-hop. So when Kanye West started this quote-unquote mental breakdown recently in November 2016, I kept a close eye on it, and I've put together a full analysis of why I believe Kanye West is trying to expose the Illuminati and the ultimate truth, which is an occult agenda hidden within entertainment. So in today's analysis, we're going to take a look at Kanye's past, present, and future. We're going to talk about the idea that Kanye is privy to the secret cabal of elitists who run the entertainment industry, which also bleeds into the fashion industry and whatnot. Because I believe he's aware of this Illuminati agenda, and they are trying to silence him and discredit him. So we'll take a look at some of the occult messages of his previous rants, his marriage to Kim Kardashian, and the alleged robbery in Paris, as well as some of the MK Ultra mind control brainwashing, and the most recent quote-unquote rant at his St. Pablo concert. So first, let's take a look at the idea of the people that write the history books are always the people that win the battles. So basically the truth that we are indoctrinated to understand is one written by the victors. A lot of people are familiar with this concept, and the mainstream media work hard to shape the world that we live in. Now, where this is concerning is that they are paid by advertisers and companies and lobbyists and people with certain interests, which all bleed into this Illuminati bloodline. We saw this at the 2016 presidential election when mainstream media focused in on telling us that Hillary Clinton was going to win, and she did not. There's various reasons to say that they did this. One is to get low voter turnout through apathy in order to get Donald Trump in the office. Another is that they wanted people to side with the winner, which is a tactic used. The easiest example is like the person that wins the Super Bowl. That's the most popular team the next year, right? Because they get a larger fan base because everybody wants to be on the winning team. So why am I talking about all this? Well, we have to rewind the clock back almost 3 years to the day to November 26th, 2013, when Kanye West first started showing these signs that he was breaking out from the control system that is in the world of entertainment. He was on a couple of shows and gave some interviews with Sway and The Breakfast Club, and the media took his, the things he was saying, and they labeled it as a rant, and they said he's flipping out and going off the rails and whatnot. But if you listen to what he was saying, a lot of it actually jives with some of the conspiracy theories we've been looking at over the last few years. It's this idea that there is an Illuminati group that controls the masses through symbols and signs. We are all slaves, we do not see the prison bars. Kanye West was saying that we are all slaves to a symbol, when in reality we are born as free, creative people, but the social programming given to us by, again, media, whether that's social or mainstream media or the education system, and so on, it removes us from this certain creative, unique ability. And what that is talking about the left brain and the right brain. I talked about this in the past. David Icke has also talked about this. I talked about it in my book, A Grand Unified Conspiracy Theory, as the adaptation innovation theory. And the idea is that we are being forced to strengthen our left brains, which is a more analytical thing, whereas the right brain is where the creative side exists. And the idea is that we become slaves to logic and programming and structure and rules if they can strengthen the left brain. So that's what they do through the education system, which is based on memorizing facts and spitting them back out.
Gotta turn away. No, don't try to embarrass us.
I'm not trying to embarrass y'all. What I'm trying to say to y'all is this industry of what I'm trying to get into, ain't nobody never broke down. Ain't nobody broke down. We all slaves. So I ain't trying to disrespect you on your show. We all slaves or something.
Ain't about my show, yeah.
I ain't trying to disrespect you, period. Let me talk if you're going to have me talk. We all slaves. We all slaves. And y'all ain't experienced nothing right here but a moment from a movie out of glory. Back in the days, the slaves had enough money, they could buy their own freedom. We all say we slaves to Nike, we slaves to Benz, we slaves to public perception, we slaves to not looking, what somebody gonna say after the interview. Why you let Kanye do that? You should have checked him.
I don't give a
I love you, man. I'm sorry. I love you, man. I'm sorry,
that's
okay?
Fine, that's fine.
But look at this. This is exactly what would happen at the French Revolution. This is exactly what happened. I'm sure some arguments with Harry Tubman and other people talking about, let's go this way, let's go that way. But what I'm trying to say is, I sat in Paris and met with these people. I invested my own money and lost money. I made T-shirts that made money. I made music that made money. But at the end of the day, Lucian Grainge still cut my music checks. As powerful as my voice is, Lucian still runs 50% of the music industry.
Now, Kanye West basically says this in more or less words, but then he also talks about family bloodlines. And when he was on The Breakfast Club, the host named Charlemagne tells him he is not on his square. Now, this is veiled Freemasonic language for basically saying that he is not honest or true to what he is supposed to be saying. When he says he is not on his square, he is telling Kanye he needs to act right and stop that behavior because this is a warning. Now, again, this is in 2013. So let's consider that and move on. In September 2014, Kanye West was giving a lecture at a college in Los Angeles, and the questions all got converted and turned into responses from Kanye where he was talking about the Illuminati. In the next year, 2015, Kanye wrote an article for Paper Magazine, which is the same magazine that had the infamous Kim Kardashian photo shoot that quote-unquote broke the internet. And in it, he talks about the Illuminati. He says if there was actually an Illuminati, it would be more like the energy companies, not celebrities that give their life to music and who are pinpointed as decoys for people who really run the world. I'm tired of people pinpointing musicians as the Illuminati. That's ridiculous. We don't run anything. We are celebrities. We're the face of brands. We have to compromise what we say in lyrics so we don't lose money on a contract. So again, this is the same stuff we've been talking about for years. These celebrities, these entertainers, they are not in the Illuminati. They are not welcome in. They are the puppets. If you want the money, the fame, the fortune, you have to do their bidding. And to do their bidding is to subscribe to an occult agenda. Even if you don't subscribe to it, you have to practice it. Or at least put on the symbolism that suggests you do in order to make it popular. It's those that have the wealth, the energy, the time, and the power to shape the world that are in the Illuminati. They are the occultists trying to steer humanity. In 2014, Kanye married Kim Kardashian. Now, the Kim Kardashians and the Bruce Jenner family, they've been giving us a lot of the symbolism we've been talking about in the past. They had the infamous Christmas card that had all-seeing eyes and pyramids on it. And, Khloe Kardashian, Kim's sister, she's got her share of symbolism. Kylie Jenner, she also has a fair share of it as well. And, of course, Bruce Jenner is the Baphomet androgynous Illuminati puppet. Now, what I want to do is I want to talk specifically about Kim Kardashian. because she was recently involved in a robbery in Paris. And there's a lot of controversy about this thing. It happened right before Kanye's rant at his St. Pablo concert. What happened was she was basically staying at a hotel/apartment for a fashion event in Paris when some criminals broke into her room and they robbed her of $10 million worth of jewelry while binding her with duct tape.
Reports say the concierge at the hotel was handcuffed and ordered to lead the robbers to her room. Once inside, they reportedly held a gun to her head. The reality star begged them to spare her life, telling the gunman she had 2 children. The robbers reportedly escaped on bikes.
Now, what's interesting here is that this is a hotel where celebrities come and go frequently. In fact, Robin Thicke and Jennifer Lawrence were there that same week. But they say there are no video cameras there. Now, what else is curious is that her bodyguard was not there at the time that the robbery happened. So that means Kim Kardashian was essentially alone in her hotel apartment with $10 million worth of jewelry with no protection whatsoever.
He says he thought they were French anti-terrorist cops because they were dressed in black.
Are they putting a gun into you?
Yes, like this.
They're holding you like that?
Yeah.
And they're putting a gun in your back?
Sometimes like this, sometimes like this, sometimes like this.
Previous reports claim the thieves had targeted Kim because of her nonstop activity on social media, showing her ring. But 39-year-old Abdul Rahman says the thieves did not specifically target Kim. Instead, they planned to rob any wealthy guest as they came through the door.
Do they use any names at this point? They're asking, what do they say?
No. They don't know any name.
It's easy to see why they picked this very private hotel. Singer Robin Thicke was staying there, and Jennifer Lawrence had just checked out.
Now, these, of course, raise many questions as to if this was a real thing or a publicity stunt, because, quite frankly, the Kardashians and Jenners have a sordid history of publicity stunts. If you recall, Kim Kardashian became most famous for the adult amateur private film she did with Ray J, but the onslaught they received from this was pretty devastating. Many people didn't believe it. While a lot of people didn't believe it and thought it was a publicity stunt, I actually believe it was a real event. I just think it's not the event that is being reported, and let me explain why that is. First, I don't think anyone deserves such treatment, even though I don't like the Kardashians necessarily. I don't have anything against them. I just don't know that they have any talent worth my time to watch, but regardless, they don't deserve that kind of hatred or visceral response. But I believe that Kim was the victim of a genuine threat. Kim and Kanye, that is. And if you want to look at this threat, it comes from the Illuminati. Now, if you look at how high-level criminals work, they extort others. And when they do it, they go right to where they get the quickest results, which is to threaten someone's family. Right? So Kanye is being told he's not on a square when he talks about the Illuminati bloodlines and the agenda. And then they scare him by robbing his wife, duct taping her. And what they do after they duct tape her? Well, initial reports claim that Kim was bound with duct tape and put into the bathtub. Now, those of you who have followed me for long enough have read the Decoding Illuminati Symbolism article on water and the occult bathtub. This is the idea that the bathtub symbolizes more than what we think it is. We saw the passing of Whitney Houston in a bathtub, as well as her daughter Bobby Christina in the same exact manner. Now, the Illuminati believe that this is a place one must die when crossing over into the next realm. In witchcraft, they use it as a cleansing ritual. And what's interesting is that when I wrote that article some time ago, I alluded to the naming of Kanye and Kim's child, whose name is Northwest. In the article, I said, in ritualistic Kabbalah, they conduct a supreme invoking ritual of the pentagram, which utilizes the top right corner of the pentagram as the symbol of water in order to keep unwelcome intruders away. Now, if you look at the Wicca reference, the inverted triangle of water is represented by the cardinal direction of west. The direction of north is the symbol for earth, which is the inverted triangle with a line through it. Now, look at the name of Northwest for Kanye and Kim's child, and in Wicca, if you look at these two cardinal directions, North symbolizes prosperity, wealth, and feminism, and West symbolizes the subconscious with emotional aspects of femininity. So Northwest symbolizes a powerful female and the subconscious realm. Now Kanye West has his share of telling us he's a god, so to me it seems like that is part of the occult belief system. If you study any of this stuff, you'll find that that is their true pursuit through alchemy or whatever habit, transhumanism. They try to become gods in their own world. So when Kim and Kanye say they're traumatized from this event, I believe it is absolutely true. I just think that the event itself was covered fully as to what exactly happened.
They laid her on the bed. She was wearing a hotel bathrobe and nothing else. Then more terror as a robber lifted her off the bed.
They take her into the bathroom?
Yes. And he put her just beside the bath.
They put her on the floor?
Floor, yeah.
They don't put her in the bathtub?
No.
They leave her on the floor like this?
Yeah.
So headlines that she was placed in the bathtub were not true.
So when we see that Kanye is having mental problems, they're saying he's paranoid and psychotic. But if you think about it, if his wife was truly duct taped and placed into the bathtub and threatened with the Illuminati death, you could see why this would truly bring issues to Kanye West's mind and why he can't focus at these concerts. So let's take a look at those concerts. The St. Pablo concert was a huge moneymaker for Kanye West. He had this infamous floating stage, and he took to it on November 19th, 2016 in Sacramento, where he shared his visionary stream of consciousness with his fans, and then ended the show abruptly at 30 minutes in. Now, after this rant, he was admitted to UCLA Medical Center, which we'll go into in a bit here. But you'll notice that they tell us this different things. They tell us it's exhaustion, then it's dehydration, then it's psychosis, then it's paranoia. What's curious about this is the hospital chosen, because the police successfully got him to admit himself. They forced him to do it, but they got him to go to the place where MK Ultra mind control experiments happened from the 1950s to the 1970s. Kathy O'Brien, she is a outspoken advocate and victim of these MK Ultra sub-programs. And in her book, Transformation of America, she talks about UCLA Medical Center. She makes reference to a Dr. Louis Jolyon West, who goes by the name of Jolly. And he was a famous psychiatrist, and he did a lot of work on taking people to the limits of the human experience. Now, not only is it interesting that he also has the same last name of West, but he does indeed have ties to this MK Ultra mind control program. So Kanye was immediately hospitalized for, dehydration or whatever, and he immediately cancels the remaining dates on the tour, which lost anywhere from 27 to 70 million, depending on which estimate you look at. Now, Kanye West said that he's in $53 million worth of debt. So for him to cancel this is a pretty big deal. And it's interesting that he canceled it so quickly. I mean, if he's dehydrated, can you just rehydrate within a day and then resume your tour? I would think so. But we have to take a look at the rant and find out what exactly he was saying. He was telling the crowd that they were lied to by Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg, Google, called out Hillary Clinton, Jay-Z, and Beyonce, DJ Khaled. But let's break this up a little bit and take a look at the individual pieces. First, Kanye talked about this kind of general deception that we've been talking about in the past, where media and entertainment are coordinating their efforts to take us down a certain path. I've oftentimes called this the evolution of consciousness, and it's this idea that Google and Facebook can control us. Now, what Kanye is referencing here is the coordinated effort and the power of media to sway the consciousness of the masses. And I gave an exact example of this in my hip-hop conspiracy book, Sacrifice Magic Behind the Mic, when I referenced a study from 2011 called The Music Industry is Literally Brainwashing You to Like Bad Pop Songs. Here's How. And in it, they basically used Katy Perry's Dark Horse as an example, where they would, the radio would continuously play these songs until people eventually did, in fact, like them. It's they compare it to Stockholm Syndrome, but the idea supports what Kanye is saying when he says the radio lied to you and Google lied to you. It's kind of like when the propaganda minister for the Nazi Party, Joseph Goebbels, said, if you're going to lie, lie big, because people will believe it eventually, right? So a little bit later, Kanye West talks about various rappers, and he basically gives a salute to DMX. Now, I find this interesting because in my hip-hop book, I talked about DMX as well, because he was a prime example of what happens here. There's a spiritual component to all of this, and when these rappers have these breakdowns, you have to look at what they say about all this stuff. DMX went on Dr. Phil and told him that the devil was after him, and he talks about it in many of his songs. He always gives prayers at his concert. It seems to me that what DMX says and what many other artists say about the devil being in the music industry is quite real. Now, Kanye West also told the audience that his life is in danger by him talking about this stuff. Now, why is he in danger? It's because he is violating the Illuminati vow of silence. This is a secret code enforced very heavily, where if he is shown the secrets, that he will not reveal it to the masses. So, again, I think he's trying to reveal something to the masses without being too overt, which is why I'm examining a lot of the stuff he says and does, because I think there is a lot of truth within it. Now, Kanye West goes on and he starts calling out various people. He talks about Beyonce and Jay-Z, and he talks about how Jay-Z has killers, and he hopes that he doesn't get sent after from them. But again, we're talking about these artists that are heavily connected to this Illuminati agenda. We hear some of what Kanye says in an interesting language. He says things about as above, so below, which is Freemasonry, witchcraft, Hermeticism. It's this idea that there is occult ritual and magic used in order to shape the universe. Again, if we look at that study from 2011 that talks about how the radio shapes what people quote-unquote like as far as music goes, we can see that the same concept applies here. It's the Illuminati shaping our world and pushing us down a path called the evolution of consciousness. They think they're slowly waking us up to their version of reality and the doctrine of the occult. When Kanye West talks about the new world in those comments, he's talking about the Illuminati New World Order and shaping reality according to it. Now, when Kanye West starts talking about his debt, he talks about Mark Zuckerberg, and he says some very interesting things. When Kanye says Zuckerberg is looking for aliens, again, I believe this to be literal. Zuckerberg did, in fact, team up with Stephen Hawking in a search for aliens on this potentially habitable planet called Proxima b, which is interesting because Stephen Hawking actually warned us of alien contact. He compared it to the Native Americans meeting up with Christopher Columbus and how it didn't have the greatest outcome for them. But again, this is a subject I've talked about many, many times in the past. Most recent was a book I wrote called The Star Wars Conspiracy, where I talked about how the Illuminati want to contact these aliens, and they're enticing the masses to do the same through lies and entertainment. Finally, Kanye West asked the crowd to watch a Richard Pryor interview because he says that Richard Pryor talks about power and what happens when you become a part of the power structure, because musicians actually change their tune once they do get in on it. And I believe he's referencing a Bill Boggs interview.
What do you think that these executives are afraid you're going to do to white America?
Probably stop some racism.
Stop racism?
Yeah. I'm probably afraid of that, because then people don't hate each other, then people start talking to each other, and then they start talking to each other, they find out who's the problem.
Which is?
Greedy people.
Greedy people. I have a couple things I want to ask you there. Do you really think that some of the guys that you've dealt with at NBC, no names, right? Because there's lawsuits for that too, that some of these guys really want to promote racism actively, or is it a subconscious?
I just think it's part of capitalism, is to promote racism, you know, right? in order to make things work. If you feel better because you're white and you can get a job, you use that. I mean, you know, I would.
Absolutely.
Say, I'm sorry, Jack, but shit, they say I'm white. I'm going to use this.
Right. Absolutely.
Get this job. I'm hungry, you know. But and that separates people. So they keep people separated, and that keeps them from thinking about the real problem. That's as simple as I see it. Probably it's not that simple, but.
Now, all right. You and I are about the same age, right? We're in our mid-30s. How long is it going to take before guys who think like you, and I say guys who think like me, people who don't want to have racism in the country, people who don't want to be oppressing any minority, whatever it is, sexual, whatever minority, really get into positions of power and can change things?
You can't get in a position of power, it seems, if you think like that. It seems that the only time you get in a position of power is if you're like the people that are in power. To me, I mean, that's the way it goes. I mean, people that get to become executives become like the people that were already executives.
I don't know, maybe...
They go in with good intentions, but it eats them up. It's like a cesspool, you know, it just gets on you and it starts
the system
eating.
levels them.
Pretty soon it's all
gone. Is that
gone.
what a cesspool sounds like?
Yes. Yeah.
All right, we'll be back right after this. Here's a good...
Now, to me, it seems like Kanye is actually trying to help the masses and wake them up through these messages. I know others think he's a jackass. I think President Obama even called him a jackass. And that might be true on some levels. I'm not trying to defend every action the guy has. But if you just listen to the message, I think he's one of the few artists trying to actually tell people what's going on. I think someday he will reveal it fully. Hopefully they don't take it out on him, but according to the vow of silence, they must, right? So let's look at what's already happened from him revealing too much. He did this rant. He had to cancel all his tour dates, losing millions of dollars. But what's curious is how this all happened. First, his physician, Dr. Michael Farzam, called 911 on November 22nd. And he told them that the patient's name was Jim Jones, who is actually another rapper, ironically. And the police report, the doctor said that he wanted Kanye placed on a 5150 psychiatric hold and take him to UCLA Medical Center.
One of his doctors, I'm just calling from my cell phone, request if we can have some police backup, because I don't think the paramedics, you know.
Are you there now with them? So let me connect this with the police.
If you can bring both, yeah, because I think he definitely is going to need to be hospitalized. So I wouldn't just do the police by itself. I think he needs to.
Okay, what is the medical condition he's having, sir? Okay, hold on one second.
Thank you.
Sure.
Emergency, Departamento de Policía, 652.
PD, hold on, sir. Sir,
sure,
PD, this is number 97. I have you're his doctor, sir, is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so...
Weapons involved, or in the area?
No other weapons, no.
And you're his doctor or therapist?
Yeah, correct, doctor.
PD, I'm 868. I'm number 97.
No, he doesn't want that.
You guys are responding.
PD, we're going to go ahead and respond and stand by for you.
All right, 652, and it's going to be 2447.
Yeah, and as I said, I
68 PD, and I'm 97. And both stand by for your clearance.
Okay, we'll do, sir. Okay, sir, if you can just keep an eye on him, you know, just try
to...
Obviously,
he's here with us.
Don't let him get any weapons or anything like that. If anything changes, if he does become physically combative between now and when the police and or paramedics get their calls back immediately at 911.
Will do. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, FJ.
Thank you. Bye.
So Kanye West gets taken to UCLA Medical Center, which we already talked about, the MK Ultra connections, and he was held there for over 1 week. Now, this obviously rules out dehydration and exhaustion. It shouldn't take that long to recuperate. But now what was interesting is on one of the 911 calls, they talked about Kanye's fears. They said he was not speaking correctly. He was convinced people were out to get him, saying things like, "No one is on my side. It's just me and Kim against everyone. No one's on my side. You're all out to get me." And they talk about how he wasn't making any sense. So the various media outlets had different diagnoses. You know, first it was dehydration, then exhaustion, then he was sleep deprived, then psychosis. But People magazine said that Kanye was actually under spiritual attack. They said he feels like he's under spiritual attack, and he has been for a while. It's not just the big things, it's smaller, quieter, internal things. You might think that it's about Kim's robbery, and while that didn't help, that's not what's going on here. He's dealing with a lot more subtle issues. Now, this is exactly what I've been talking about for years now. This is the side effect of taking that Faustian bargain of becoming famous. You get the right doors open, you have to subscribe or at least practice these occult beliefs, and do what Aleister Crowley called peering into the abyss. So when Kanye West was talking about DMX, he was saying DMX knew the truth, that there is a real devil, and he reigns over entertainment. So in conclusion, I think that Kanye West was forced to prematurely cancel his remaining shows because they didn't want him to talk. He was saying too much about Zuckerberg, Google, Clinton, Jay-Z, Beyonce, etc. They then forced him to UCLA Medical Center, which is a hospital with proven connections to mind control programming. And he was held there for over a week for a slew of various reasons no one's really sure of, right? Of course, the real theory here is that there is none of those things. There was an intense session of mind control to get him to stop talking about these things. And if you read the language used to describe Kanye after the Paris robbery of Kim Kardashian, you'll see the exact same verbiage used to talk about his treatment. For example, for the Kanye traumatization from the Paris robbery, they said he had severe paranoia. It was over nothing that was tangible or real. He was thinking people were out to kill him, out to break him and Kim up. It was Kanye versus the whole world. Now, I'll repeat what I had said earlier. This is the discussion about him after the St. Pablo concert, not the robbery. They said that he was not speaking correctly. He was convinced people were out to get him, saying things like, "No one's on my side. It's just me and Kim against everyone." It's the same exact language. The same exact things are being said about both of these traumatic incidents. I think both of these are orchestrated by the Illuminati. The first was the robbery, which was just a threat against Kim Kardashian. And then the second was taking Kanye to get MK Ultra mind controlled at the UCLA Medical Center. Now, why does this happen? Why do these entertainers constantly break down like this? I believe Kanye, like many other entertainers, was forced to participate in this pattern that we see so many times of alter egos, dissociative identities, and alien spirit channeling. In fact, the St. Pablo concert had that floating stage with the lights that looked exactly like a UFO. And previously, Kanye West was in a Katy Perry video called E.T., where she basically talks about how he's the devil, or maybe he's an angel, and there's a very sexual tone to it, while Kanye West is flying around in the all-seeing eye UFO. Combine that with him talking about Zuckerberg making contact with aliens at his concert, and about how him and Kid Cudi are aliens. Which is interesting because Kid Cudi was in rehab recently for depression and similar mental health issues. And Kid Cudi had a song called "Embrace the Martian," which had lyrics talking about how the masses should embrace Kid Cudi because he's a Martian, and he will eventually destroy and rebuild the world, which is exactly what we heard from David Bowie's Ziggy Stardust alter ego alien persona on the song called 5 Years. So why do all these artists have this same thread of oddities? It's because they always have these alter egos and they are forced to channel alien spirits. I know that sounds crazy. I know that's a bit much to take in, but it's the truth. You've got to dig in and take a look for yourself. The occultists believe there's a spiritual component to creativity. They think that introducing dissociative identities and channeling alien spirits while going into the darkest realms of the subconscious will strengthen the creativity of the artist. Psychoanalyst Carl Jung said that the creative side of man resides in the subconscious, which is where symbols talk to us. So when we see Kanye, Beyonce, Jay-Z using the rock diamond or the triangle manifestation, as I like to call it, it's talking to the subconscious. So you look at Kanye's previous works, albums like 808s and Heartbreak and My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, they were very dark. That was him reaching into the dark realms. And what makes this interesting is that another rapper singer named Charles Hamilton, who's also known for having mental illness problems, he claimed that the 808s beats are the music of aliens because they are based on frequency. Now, we already talked about Dr. Jolly West, who was funded for MKUltra studies at UCLA Medical Center, where Kanye West was put. He was famous for a study he did called the Studies of Dissociative States. So we're talking about dissociative states, which is alter egos, which is what we see from all of these rappers. We see them from Beyonce, Jay-Z, Eminem, and Kanye West. All these entertainers talk about these alter egos and channeling different spirits. You have to read the book Sacrifice Magic Behind the Mic if you want to take this to the next level and really understand what's going on. But for now, let's keep an eye on Kanye West. Hope for the best for him. After all, he might be the president in 2020. Alright, I want to thank you for listening. Please subscribe to the channel. You can also go to IlluminatiWatcher.com and subscribe to my free email newsletter. You'll get various articles just like this sent to your inbox. But again, if you really want to find the truth and this, see how far down the rabbit hole this thing goes, as far as the music industry, check out Sacrifice Magic Behind the Mic. It is available on iTunes, Amazon, IlluminatiWatcher.com. You can get signed paperbacks. I also did an author-narrated version on Audible, which is available on Amazon or Audible.com. Thanks again.